How many of you have seen the movie Ratatouille? For those of you who haven't, it is an animated film about a rat, Remy. Remy aspires to be a chef at Gusto's. Gusto's is a previously 5-star rated restaurant. However, it falls to 4 after cynical food critic Antoine Ego bashes it in one of his reviews. Now, this causes the restaurant to do poorly. However, with the help of Remy, it once again regains popularity with the public. This makes Ego curious, and towards the end of the movie, he visits Gusto's once again. The chefs at Gusto's stress. What could they serve Ego that would dazzle him so much that they would once again regain the 5-star rating that they once had? Eventually, they settle on a dish. Ratatouille. Ratatouille is dubbed the peasant dish. So tell me, how does a vegetable stew eaten by farmers in the countryside of France achieve this feat? Ego picks up his fork, pen in the other hand, just ready to write a negative review of the place. As soon as he takes it back, we're transported back in time to Ego's kitchen. Back to the time when he was just a little boy and his mom had made ratatouille for lunch. It wasn't fancy cooking or delicate plating or deconstructed recipes that earned them their 5 stars back. It was nostalgia. The nostalgia associated with the dish that reminded him of his mother's cooking that he cherished with all of his heart. Nostalgia is something that each one of us here today would have experienced at some point. Whether it's a song that takes you back to the summer with your friends where nothing seemed to matter but the moment, or rewatching a TV show that you loved as a kid. The thing about nostalgia is that all 5 of our senses can help trigger a memory that we may not have thought about or even forgotten about. As an example, let me take you back to one of mine. The summer of 2018. Year 6 had just finished, and me and my friends were getting ready to move into secondary school. One of my really close friends at the time was moving countries, so he decided to invite us all over as a way to spend some time together before he left. Now, we didn't do much that day, but the memory stays at the back of my head, unlocked by the taste of peach iced tea, the same as we drank that day, and the sound of God's Plan by Drake that played in the background. But what if I told you that nostalgia wasn't always the pleasant reminiscence of the past that we experienced today? The word nostalgia originated in the late 17th century by Johannes Hofes. It comes from the Greek word nostos, which means longing for, and algia, which means to return home. It originated as a disease to describe homesickness. This was particularly common in soldiers in Switzerland who yearned to return home to the mountainside. These soldiers exhibited symptoms such as fainting, high fever, insomnia, and in some cases, even death. Over time, nostalgia became more of a mental illness, similar to the likes of depression and anxiety. Many soldiers during the American Civil War took their own lives because they were unable to cope with the fact that their lives were never going to be the same again. Now, this is very different from the way that we experience nostalgia nowadays. As time passed, nostalgia evolved into the definition that we see today: sentimentality for the past. The word evolved into the definition that we see today: sentimentality for the past. Now, we as humans are possessive in nature. We like to cling to the things that we believe to be ours. A great example of this comes from the endowment effect. People feel a greater sense of attachment towards things that they believe to be theirs. An experiment was carried out where a group of people were given the option to sell or swap a coffee mug for a pen that was worth approximately the same. Surprisingly, these people valued the coffee mug twice as much as it was actually worth, simply because they believed it to be theirs. We as people tend to do the same in life. We cling to the things that make us comfortable, the places, the people, even the routine in which we go about our day-to-day lives. I recently experienced this firsthand. A while back, I was having a conversation with one of my close friends who's graduating and going off to uni. The topic of our conversation was about a mall. This mall is a place that a lot of us from our school grew up in. Many of us, after our school finish, go there with our friends to grab a bite or go bowling after our exams end. She told me about the time where she asked her parents to drive all the way from Sharjah just to come visit this mall. What's going to happen in a few months when I won't be able to visit this mall whenever I like? That question stuck with me, and it made me realize that we live in a world that is so fast-paced and ever-changing that sometimes we like to seek comfort in the old and the mundane, stuff that reminds us of simpler times. How many of you here have a comfort TV show? Something that you've watched over and over again, or something that just plays in the background of your home while you're bored. A great example of this is a story that my dad told me about how once when I was just born, he finished watching an entire season of Friends while I was asleep on his shoulder. It explains to me the comfort he finds in rewatching it over and over again. He might have seen Friends from start to finish hundreds of times by now, but that doesn't stop him from turning it on once again when he's bored in the background. The way I understand it, the show serves to him as an anchor, keeping him connected to the past while he lives in the present. However, there are times where seeking comfort in the familiarity around us can be detrimental. Once again, we don't like change. The fear of the unknown haunts us. We are uncertain about what lies ahead, so we stick to what we're comfortable with. One cannot discover new oceans unless one has the courage to lose sight of the shore. This quote by André Gide, a French explorer, perfectly explains the necessity of embracing change in order to grow. It perfectly encapsulates the necessity of embracing change in order for us to grow. So why do we wait for this change to come to us? Why can't we take the leap of change by ourselves? Speaking of change, a major change that a lot of people my age will soon experience is university. We go away to another country, away from the place that we've grown up in, the place that we call home. Moving jobs can be such another change. You move away from the workplace and the colleagues that you've grown accustomed to over such a long period of time. The fear of the unknown makes us hesitant, and it makes us not want to adapt to these new situations. I'd like to leave you all on a quote from one of my favorite movies. You are so afraid of taking change because all you see is every negative thing 10 miles down the road. You can do anything. You are bound by nothing. I hope that each one of you here today chooses to lose sight of the shore, embrace these new beginnings, and venture into the unknown. Thank you. My name is Abhishek, and this has been my thought on nostalgia and the comfort of familiarity.